Okay, may I call to order our regular board meeting for August 20th, 2018 for the Board of Park Commissioners of the Lake Bluff Park District, Lake County, Illinois. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Earhart.
Absent prior notice.
Commissioner Gordon.
Here.
Commissioner McHenry. Here. Commissioner Mossberger.
Here.
Commissioner Patera. Here. Commissioner Wallace.
Here.
President Douglas.
Here. May I now have an approval or motion for the approval of the agenda? So moved. Second. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Gordon.
Yes.
Commissioner McHenry. Yes. Commissioner Mossberger.
Yes.
Commissioner Patera.
Yes.
Commissioner Wallace.
Yes.
President Douglas.
Yes. Okay, statement of visitors. Before we do this, let me just make a quick little comment. Just to go back a couple months, back in March, after our public meetings with the community, we had 4 objectives that we set up, and the 2 critical ones were really the fundraising to the golf course effort and our RFP, the request for proposals for leasing. And I just want to let everyone know that we did, as we mentioned in June, we did get responses from the RFP. Those are under review and discussion stages with the board. But because of the sensitivity of the process, we are doing that in executive session. When the board has come to a conclusion as far as a direction from these discussions, we will certainly be letting the public know. But at this point, it's still in a review process, so be patient. But we did get responses, and we're working on those as we speak. So, as far as comments for non-agenda items from the visitor or for anyone in the audience, this is your opportunity to speak if you have any thoughts that you'd like to share.
I just have a question. When you talk about the proposals that you've received, in light of the fact, I mean, I think we all understand that it's a pretty complicated thing, that it's not a simple issue that can be solved overnight or that you can deal with overnight. But given everything that's been done at the golf course this year, and I think a number of us are here and are very active in helping to organize the 50th anniversary celebration. If it takes into the fall to get a decision on this proposal, what does that do for the golf course? I mean, do you just leave that hanging in the air for next year? Or, how do you deal with that from a timing point of view so that everything is done properly and everyone has fair notice and we can work with the various things we have to work with?
Typically, we're not really doing answers and questions and answers here, but I guess what I could add is it's similar to an employment agreement, rather sensitive subject matter, and it's really not really at a point where it can be spoken publicly about it. Once we have, or maybe it won't get resolved, but we're in the process of that discussion period here, and it's just, it'd be premature to say anything right now. We are hopeful that we can come to some conclusion in the very near future. I'm not sure we are willing to give a timeline deadline on that, but we are in the midst of working on it, and all I can ask is be patient. Our goals are all aligned. We want to try to keep this golf course up and running. All I can ask is be patient. It's the best answer I can give you at this point. I wish I could say more, but it's too early to get it. So, any other questions from?
I was going to say, do you want it to be recap of the 50th anniversary right now, or would you prefer to wait until the facilities and I just don't know
Usually
where
we
it
do it
goes
through
in
the facilities and programs first.
Okay, any other statements? I didn't even say questions.
Yeah.
It really shouldn't be that, it's just statements. Having no more, we'll move on to the next item, which is with our last board meeting, we rearranged things here so that we can get into the staff reports earlier in the process, so the audience can have a much better understanding of really what's going on in the district as a whole. So under verbal communications, the staff report.
I just have three quick things. In your report, you noticed, and I think I didn't mention last month, that the North Shore Water Reclamation District Board of Trustees did contribute $7,500 to the plan, so which is related to the AECOM coastal engineering plan. So we are trying to get the results here in the next 2-3 months. So they'll be sitting down with the North Shore Water Reclamation District, but that was very positive. I know Commissioner Mossberger mentioned that. Can we reach out to them? So we want to thank them publicly on camera, and then we'll be sending them a letter as well. So also, we've been working with, Jim and I have been meeting with the village about beach parking. I talked with Commissioner McHenry today, and we'll be trying to schedule a meeting next week. So specifically, we'll talk about that another time. And then in September, the foundation is holding a meeting on September 24th, and they like to have some type of dual meeting or just a informal type of meeting, so they have a chance to get to know all of you and review each other's goals. So I'll have Dawn send out a reminder, but that's a Monday night. We thought that was the best. They usually meet Monday night, so we'll take a straw poll and see who can make that. Matt, turn over to staff.
Okay. Next month I'll have a full mid-year quarterly report for the summer, all our summer programs. In the meantime, I'll just give you kind of preliminary report on camps. And we finished camps last week. Looks like for our main camps, such as Little Sprout, State Camp, Camp Kickahow, athletic camps, those camps are attended by youth pretty much all day, 5 days a week. We ran slightly ahead of last year's participant numbers. As for gross revenue, we exceeded budget, and as for net budget, we will be 15,000 or better than what we budgeted for camp. So we had a really good camp year this summer. I'll have a full report next month in regards to the camps, and where we had some camps that were definitely higher than last year, and some camps that were lower than last year, and what is our strategies moving forward in 2019. So we're already strategizing for those camps and talking to those camp managers. We wrapped up Bluff this last Sunday. I know there were quite a few residents that were a little disappointed. They felt like they wanted it to continue on all the way up until Labor Day. We are looking, we always entertain ideas of additional sponsors to cover those costs for Bluff. So if you have someone in mind, feel free to send it my way. And then lastly, September 15th, if you're available, it's a Saturday from 9 to 10, we do a beach cleanup, and that is with the Great Lakes Alliance. So if anybody's interested, please shoot me over an email or give me a call, and I will add you to the volunteer list.
Okay, for the maintenance department report, I only have one revision, and it's a good one. We were able to hire part-time staff for the facility maintenance to help out Micah, so that's a good thing. We still have one more seasonal position for parks that we are trying to fill. So that's it. Any questions?
I just have one addition to the written report, and that is to announce that Carrie Falls is our new assistant racket sports manager. She replaces Chuck Laguerre, who was with us for the last couple years and decided to get out of the business. Carrie was the assistant at Northmore prior to joining us. She's got over 10 years of experience in paddle, and has been a member of our Series 1 team for the last couple years, so we're real excited to have her join the staff.
Okay, great. Moving on to committee reports.
We haven't had a scheduled meeting in a while, just a lot of projects on the table from the Finance Administration, Future Planning Committee. We do have a couple of reports coming up that we anticipate probably in September now.
Any commissioner, or any other committee input from any committee chairs at this point?
So,
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
yeah, so facilities and program. Before we jump into the 50th anniversary event, do we have a meeting coming up next week? I haven't seen anything in terms of setting a date.
I thought that was going to be the
Week of the 27th.
week of the 27th.
Or whatever
So,
next
touch
week
base. Yeah.
Okay. Let's try and get that on
We're talking about
Tuesday,
racket
Wednesday.
sports.
Correct.
Okay.
So moving to the event, before John, you present what I hope will be some great numbers, I'm sure they will be. Just one more time on behalf of the board and Ron and everyone here, phenomenal job. I said it at the event, but Deb and John and Colette and everyone else that was involved with putting that on. The energy and enthusiasm from you all, from the community, it was fantastic. It was really fun to be a part of that. So thank you everyone for all your work involved.
Yeah.
Really, really appreciate it. Next.
Well, for the first time in a while, we have a little bit of, positive news to report on the golf front. And I know not everybody was able to make it to a lot of previous commitments, but to give you some of the highlights, we had 144 players, so we were totally sold out. We had 2 groups of 4 on every single team. We actually had 145 players. There was a disabled player as well, so we had 1 5. So we had over 250 dinner guests, including the people who played. There was another roughly 100 people who came to have dinner. We'd like to, special thanks to our 2 big sponsors who were Tercera Therapeutics and to Sunset Foods, who provided the food for the dinner. We had a live auction. We made about $8,800 on the live auction, $5,000 on the raffle, almost $8,000 on a silent auction. Total revenue for the night was over $60,000, almost $61,000. Net income about $48,000. So that gives us total raise to date of right around $100,000. Waiting for friends to give us the exact number, but that's 76% of our 2018 goal, and it's 38% of the 2018-2019. So it was a really good show of support from the community. Everybody came out and had a good time. So that's the report.
Thanks, guys. That's great.
Well done.
All right, so Parks and Beach, we are going to be getting together to review our policies regarding the shelter time and also working with the village, with neighbors that live near the beach concerning the resident park, I shouldn't say resident parking, the parking issue. And we're going to discuss and try to help out discussing the non-resident versus the resident parking at the beach. Did I miss anything, Ron?
No.
Okay.
We're still working on the grant project, so the government hasn't officially released it, but we have to get moving on it, so we're just trying to gather costs.
And tweaking maybe the shelter times at the end of, for the rentals on at the north and the south shelter.
If I could just add real quick, I guess this parking thing has been an ongoing thing for many years, and it's really a village. It's the village streets, and it's a really collaborative effort that has to be done with the park and the village. So hopefully we can get something figured out, because this isn't a new issue.
No,
So
and this has been probably, well, we've been on the board for 10 years or 11. Too long?
it's been a while.
But anyways, since we've been on the board, it's been an issue, and just living in the neighborhood, unfortunately, it's just getting worse. It's getting crazier with the amount of cars and just a lot of them being non-residents and garbage left in the grass. And it is really a village issue, but we want to help out in any way that we can to support the village and the residents to, you know, make the situation better.
Has anything changed in the 10 years or so that, you know, during this time that, you know, since you've been on board, the parking issue down there by the beach?
Well, I've noticed, like, I used to think like a busy day was when it came up to my house, and now it's like always up to my house, which is like Center and Maple. So I know that there's just a lot more cars, and the neighbors have been, you know, looking at stickers and decals, and the majority of the cars are non-residents. And it sounds to me like the residents, they have no problem with the non-residents parking there, but they're like, they want to clear it out a little bit because they come home and there's no parking for them right in front of their street, right in front of their house. So maybe, you know, if you look along the North Shore, it's very unusual that allow all that parking to go on right next to the beach. So maybe trying to look for a solution and find a place, you know, the train station or something like that where maybe they can park might be a remedy for non-residents.
Brock, I would say, since we've had the night manager over the last 4 years, it's subsided at night, the issues. The shelter rentals do have caused some things, but it's definitely Saturday days, Sunday days, Friday days. So it's somewhat switched, so the trend has changed a little bit.
Yeah, and then for years, we've had problems with people sneaking down, what's that area called?
Lilliandale.
The Lilliandale
Off of North Avenue.
off of North Avenue. And that continues, that's a problem as well.
And that's village-owned property.
Yeah.
So the village and the park district are going to work on this and hopefully come up with a parking policy of some sort. But we'll keep you posted on it.
George, did you want to add?
I had one other item on the Parks and Beach that I wanted all the Park District Commissioners to be clear on. A month ago, the Tribune ran in their Sunday newspaper, the lead story on the front page. It was a big story with the title, Lakes Overflow Tracy Superior. I don't know if any of you read it, any of you saw it, but it was an extremely misleading story that to the average reader, if they didn't read it extremely carefully, it made it sound like one of the primary reasons that we're experiencing very high lake levels is because the adjustment of the dam overflow on the St. Mary's River coming out of Lake Superior. And that, unfortunately, that story was extremely misleading. And the flows, the height of Lake Michigan that can be affected by the adjustment of that dam height is 2 inches. And the lake level varies over a height of 6 feet from high to low. So 2 inches over more than 6 feet is about 2 to 3%. But so it was a very, very disappointing story. The Tribune must have been a very, very slow news day and very sensationalistic. So if any commissioner was approached or does get approached by a resident saying, what are you doing about this commission that's controlling this dam height on the St. Mary's River, please explain to them right away that the maximum effect on Lake Michigan is 2% of the Lake Michigan level. And that should quell the issue right there. Just wanted to point that out.
Thank you.
With our own beach problems, that we're dealing with the road.
Thanks, George.
Okay, next year is the tri-board. We haven't met. I don't know when the tri-board is going to meet again. But when we know more, we'll let people know. Friends of the Parks, anything to report from them? Any commissioner comments? I really have nothing to add at this point. So we'll move on to approval of meeting minutes for July 16, 2018 regular board meeting.
So moved.
Motion?
Second.
Yes. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Gordon?
Yes.
Commissioner McKendry?
Yes.
Commissioner Mossberger?
Yes.
Commissioner Patera?
Yes.
Commissioner Wallace?
Yes.
President Douglas?
Yes. Next item is the consent agenda. And may I have a motion to accept the August 1st and 20th, 2018 payables.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Gordon?
Yes.
Commissioner McKendry?
Yes.
Commissioner Mossberger?
Yes.
Commissioner Patera?
Yes.
Commissioner Wallace?
Yes.
President Douglas?
Yes. Now may I have a motion to approve the August 1st and 20th, 2018 payables.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Gordon?
Yes.
Commissioner McKendry?
Yes.
Commissioner Mossberger?
Yes.
Commissioner Patera?
Yes.
Commissioner Wallace?
Yes.
President Douglas?
Yes. Next item is finance, 2018 July and year-to-date financials.
Yeah, basically, we're right in line with budget. Remember, for the financials, that June golf numbers are in here, so it's not July's numbers, because we're always 1 month behind. But July is on plan. So we've just been holding steady with this budget, and hopefully we can meet budget overall as a district, but still too soon to declare that. Especially getting in August numbers are really important, and then seeing where we're at with preschool and after-school care. So we're holding in line. July was right in line, so feel good about that. So it's a good starting place here.
Any questions or comments? Anyone?
Ron, on page 35, there's the big box at the beginning that has a ton of detail in there, and there are a lot of line items that are unfavorable, including some contracted services. Is that because we've decided not to move ahead and replace
That's correct.
HR and finance?
That's exactly right.
So it's coming out of here, but we're seeing an offsetting benefit
That is
for that elsewhere,
through
right?
IMRF, Social Security, and other.
Okay.
So
So it's not necessarily a bad thing, even though it appears on the surface like it's
That is
unfavorable.
correct.
Okay.
That is exactly correct.
All right,
Good catch.
thank you.
There was a contractual services line or explanation here in the box, is that right? Was it the
That's
contractual
what I was
services?
focused on, yeah. What was the number?
29,740?
It was a big enough number.
Yeah. Okay.
Any other comments? I guess we should have a motion to approve the financial report as presented.
So moved.
Second.
And a roll call, please.
Commissioner Gordon?
Yes.
Commissioner McKendry?
Yes.
Commissioner Mossberger?
Yes.
Commissioner Patera?
Yes.
Commissioner Wallace?
Yes.
President Douglas?
Yes. Okay, next item under finance is the purchase cards ratification.
Yeah, I do want to, before we get into the P cards, I do want to clarify for the public that Park District Board does not have any P cards. They're not allotted any P cards, and certain staff only have P cards and required to purchase budgeted expenses only. Each employee signs a form stating any certain implications if they use it personally. So as we look at these P cards and they're under scrutiny in general, we do our due diligence in auditing all our P cards, and I do want to clarify that the board does not receive any P cards. So with that said, you do notice some additional purchases this month. One is the baseball batting cages, where we had a storm that came through and knocked out our batting cages. This is being coordinated with the Baseball Association, so.
Yeah, the total on that baseball batting cage project is close to 18,000, and we are gonna get reimbursement from the Lake Bluff Baseball Association to the tune of close to 15,000.
And we also did file a claim with Moderna on that, and we did receive a check for, I think it was right around $2,800.
I'm sorry, how much?
About $2,800.
Then we had some roof repairs that continue to occur occur over at the golf club house. So we had to take care of those, which is really important. And then a new pool pump of 4,000, so unexpected. Those are the main changes.
Any questions on this item? Could I have a motion to move to ratify, the purchase card payment of $57,136.74?
So moved.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
Commissioner McHenry,
Yes.
Commissioner Mossberger,
Yes.
Commissioner Patera,
Yes.
Commissioner Wallace, President Douglas.
Yes. Okay, moving on. Next item under new business, Paddle Club capital improvement fees. Ed?
So I'll let the memorandum speak for most of this, but the general overview and what we're coming to the board with is a proposed $50 capital improvement fee to be added to the membership fee this year and moving forward. This is something that we have brought to the membership. The membership is very, overall, we've received very positive feedback regarding the fee. Staff believes this is a great opportunity for us to bring in a new source of non-tax revenue that can be allocated for current and future capital projects. So we strongly support this fee being added, and then involved and included in this is also a 3% rate increase on all of our paddle memberships year over year.
So I have a question. So that increase that's paid by the paddle members, can that fund only be used for paddle? So is it a one-to-one, or can it be used park district-wide?
We informed the paddle membership that we would keep this within the paddle club, that these would go directly to fund improvements to the paddle club.
Okay, so we're able to isolate and ensure that. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Patera, it will go into, we can move it into our general, or into our capital fund, so, master capital fund, so, and it could be specific to paddle expense or paddle.
Right, I just want to make sure it's completely linked and it's not, any capital project.
That is, oh, okay.
We discussed this at our committee a few weeks back. It was a pretty quick discussion. And in concept, the paddle board wants to pay us the shortfall dollars sooner rather than later.
And that's what these initial dollars would be used for.
So we definitely recommend approval as a committee.
Great. Any other questions here? Could I have a motion to approve the capital improvement fee of $50 to be collected with all paddle memberships sold for the 2018-19 paddle season, and revenues generated from this fee to be applied to funding the current shortfall of the fourth court project and future capital improvement projects?
So moved.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
Commissioner McHenry,
Yes.
Commissioner Mossberger,
Yes.
Commissioner Patera,
Yes.
Commissioner Wallace,
Yes.
President Douglas.
Yes. Next item is the paddle club again, lights and hours of operation.
So I just, once again, kind of let the memos hold, but I do want to just, a couple of points I do want to clarify, because there's been a little bit of confusion with residents, and I just want everyone to be on the same page. So the ordinance that dictates, the village ordinance that governs the lights and hours of operation, specific to the lights, the ordinance reads that the facility may not operate the lights later than 9:30 p.m. Sunday through Thursday, and not later than 10:30 p.m. on Friday and Saturday, but may operate not later than 10:15 Sunday through Thursday on evenings when league play takes place later than 9:30 p.m. So specifically with the memorandum and the request that was given to the board, or was given to staff from the paddle membership was, which was specific to regarding the lights, is that 10:15 shut off, and we're talking about Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings. Those are the 3 nights that we have league play, and extending that to 10:30. We had a handful of matches last year that were cut off short because the lights automatically shut off. So we have those lights on a timer to meet the village ordinance. So there's no, gray area. If we know a match is just going to take a couple extra minutes, we'll keep them on for 2 minutes. They go right on time. And so that has been the request that was given to staff from the paddle membership. I have had a conversation, I've had now 2 conversations and received emails from a couple residents that are neighbors of the Blair Park and the paddle facility. Mr. Cruz is here as well. And I'll let him, if you'd like to, address the board on this. But the general feeling that I received from all 3 households that provided me with feedback is that 10:15 is long enough. So that was just the general feedback I got, especially with regards to the lights, is that 10:15 is an appropriate time for the lights to turn off. So I just wanted to share that with you because some of that feedback came after I provided you with the memo at the end of the week last week. Other than that, don't have anything else to add to this.
We also have a GAMRAS here, all of our neighbors, so I know we usually like to go out to the residents or also some paddle players as well, so wanted to just make you aware of that.
So we also talked about this at our committee meeting, and I think, Brock, our response was that we were in favor of it as long as there weren't community members and close neighbors that had an issue with the extra 15 minutes. At the time of our committee meeting, there weren't any, but now there are several. So what we do with that information now, I'm not sure. I don't know if we want to table it and pick it back up again at our committee meeting next week and get to a point where we have a committee recommendation, or we can talk about it further today and see if we come to a resolution. But
One suggestion would be good to get any input from the neighbors if they're here, or any
Sure.
other players
That's
as
good.
well, so that you can then maybe determine from there, maybe a course of action.
true, because they might not be able to come to the committee meeting next week. So
Please.
My name is Warren Cruz. I am probably the most directly affected by the lighting issues of Powerport because I live at 335 West Washington, and in my bedroom overlooks the Powerports. And when the original discussions were going on, there was a lot of discussion about the lighting and the timing. And the times that were agreed upon were essentially a compromise because, for example, the residents were pushing for nothing later than 10 o'clock, which parallels the village's ordinance if somebody is doing filming in the village with lighting and noise. So, now we have it at 10:15. With the very bright LED lights, I can almost read in my bedroom. Originally, the lights were incandescent, and there was a shift over to the LEDs, which made it much brighter and much more disturbing than it had been previously. And then I'll jump to the other aspect of wanting to extend the time. Well, my comment to Ed was, I think what they're talking about with wanting to extend the time is so they can complete further socialization. Because I can see what's happening over there. As I say, my bedroom looks right into the courts and also the warm-up club. And I'm also very much opposed to extending the time involved for cleanup. If you want to extend it for a maximum of 15 minutes to 10:30, I think that's what it is now. That seems like adequate because if people leave, there's a great deal of noise oftentimes. They're not respectful of the fact that this is a residential area, and they're leaving at night when people are trying to get to bed. And I think what we have now is something that the neighbors have learned to live with and accept, even though we didn't want it that way. And now to talk about increasing the timing is something that is very disagreeable.
I just want, excuse me, I'm Gail Gamrad, we live, right, we're on 660 Green Bay Road, so we look out, my boy's bedroom window is, probably 30 yards from the courts. When we were first buying this house in 2010, it was right when all this was going on, and I was concerned, and, looking, we were also conscious about the lights, and those lights got a lot brighter, so that's one thing. Ron knows all of them. I'm a fan. I grew up here. I'm a baby of the car district. I worked here 10 years. That's how I bought my first car. I was working at this pool. I learned to swim in the pool. I've had nothing but positive things and to support the park district. We love Eric. We love to hear Eric's voice in our backyard. It's been fantastic, and I love the energy of the park district. And I work also, I wanted to say, I said this to Ed today, is I'm a public school administrator, and I always wonder when people call me to complain about, the teenagers, or like, did you see that high school when you bought your house across the street? But this is the first thing that we have raised our voice on, because it is loud and it is constant. My guys go to bed and hearing them swear. We have a joke in our house about, oh, come on, Jimmy, because this guy has always been yelling at Jimmy, and it's just been like the way that our kids have grown up. So to extend the time and the light shining in, it just seems like we're pushing what was originally agreed on, and I'd love to go back to the old lights if that's ever a possibility. But it's the first thing that we just think is it's a little too much. I'm wondering whether there can be the compromise of starting these matches earlier instead of going later. I know we're working with people's work schedules. When I retire, I want to be a paddle player, but I think we need to recognize where these courts are and how close they are to our homes.
What time does the men's league, what time does it start?
First round goes on at 7.
So do you choose the time, or does the league?
It's a league.
Yeah, I thought that was the case. So you can't tweak it when they come to Lake Bluff?
No, we would be changing the whole league.
How many times did this happen last season where the men had to stop because they didn't have enough time because the lights went on?
About 6 times.
6 different nights?
6 different times throughout the
Well, that's a
season.
lot.
Of course, it wasn't an issue when we had 3 courts, because we had a spillover court they could start on. So that's why it hasn't been an issue up to this point. Now that we have 4 courts, there's 2 matches in essence going on, or 4. So we don't have a way to get an extra match on to get it done in time.
Can you think of any other solutions?
It sounds to me this needs to probably go back to committee to try to sort this out. I'm not sure, is this board really prepared to make a decision on this? I think, or should it go back to committee? I guess that's my question.
Well, the other thing is it's not really the board's decision. Doesn't it go back to the village, and then they're the ones that make the decision, right? So it doesn't really,
But
this is
yeah,
not
this
really.
would be a bill, they'll want to see, the village will want to know where the park district board stands on it, so.
Right.
The board will.
Don't you have to amend your special use?
We'll have to amend the special use permit.
You would have to apply for a zoning amendment to your special use permit, so you're the petitioner, the Lake Bluff Park District, so Lake Bluff Park District would be the petitioner in the zoning process.
I would sense that we are prepared to make that recommendation to the village or whatever.
What's the timing? when would this have to be figured out here? When's the season start?
Our first matches are the first week of October. And, you know, we understand that this is a process and that it will take some time for this to unfold. And I think, you know, everybody has a right to say what they need to say as it goes through. So, you know, we're prepared to, you know, take as long as we need to take. We think it's very important to the growth of the facility. And, you know, I know that we were told by, you know, members really wanted a longer period of time to really complete the matches without having a worry about it. They wanted a half hour longer, but we didn't feel that half hour was reasonable for our residents. So when we came back, that's why we were only looking for a 15-minute extension.
The village process will take approximately a month from a decision by the board, if there is a decision by the board to attempt to amend the special use permit. The village process, it's as smooth as it could be, would take about a month.
We anticipate, knowing that we've gone through these things with intent, it's probably
Not much
about
time.
2 months, because it goes back to the PC. I mean,
Yeah, we would go to the ZBA, PCZBA, we'd have a meeting with them. There was approval there, it would then go to the village. That's usually a couple weeks after the PCZBA meeting. There's typically, the procedure is 2 readings on it, or we could try to apply for 1, and that would make it a 1-month process. But yeah, I mean, that's the ideal, would be up somewhere between a month to 2 months. So.
Well, just to add to that, PCZBA, I know all this one too well, unfortunately. Wednesdays, the third Wednesday of every month is when they meet. And then typically you get to the last village board meeting, the end of the month, and the first one the next month. So that is the most expedited sequence you could do. So if you were submitting for the September meeting, you might have something by early October, or it might go in early November. The only advantage we might have is, well, I guess we lose daylight at that point. So, but I'm feeling as though we should have this go back to committee and to.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. So if we address it at the committee level next week and come up with a recommendation at that point, do we have to wait till the next board meeting for folks to provide their input and vote on it, or can we do that through an email process or some other means?
I think it's something the boards probably wouldn't want to vote on, to petition.
The Open Meetings Act doesn't allow email votes, so, no.
Or some other means?
A special.
So we would have to wait till another board meeting?
Or call a special board meeting.
Or have a special meeting?
The committee
Okay.
as a whole could be changed to a
Right,
regular
we could
board
have
meeting.
a committee, a whole meeting, add.
Okay, I'm just trying to not delay the process any longer than it needs to be, since it's a pretty short timetable.
It is, and can I say one other thing? I almost missed this letter. We were on vacation, we got our mail back, and that's why I'm sorry I emailed Ed on a weekend. Our neighbors are out of town, and they heard, and so they flew 2 emails today. I'm not sure the residents with that one letter, when it's August and everyone's away and coming back, have even really been notified, because everyone I've talked to is like, is not happy about this, and so I want to make sure they've been duly notified before
Sure.
you even really know what you've heard from all of us, because I'm thinking that there might be more people coming forward.
Okay.
Well, I'd like to have this on our committee discussion for our next.
Let's do that, no promises in terms of a quick vote, but let's take it back to the committee next week, and we'll talk some more about it. Hopefully some others can come and share their
The
opinions
reality
as
is,
well.
whenever some conclusion is come to, I mean, it can be implemented at any time, right? It doesn't have to be at the beginning of a paddle season, it could be, or not, from a continuity standpoint. Could this be implemented in the middle of the paddle season, right?
Sure.
Yeah. So, okay.
So we'll inform,
On the
during the committee meeting, yeah, we'll touch probably by tomorrow. We'll have it all arranged.
Arrive at a date, yeah.
Usually it's a morning meeting, so Well, you made your statement, it helps that you were here
Yeah.
tonight,
Yeah.
so that we have your statements on record. You can follow up with us, more.
Wait, I have one more question. So, Eric, do most of the players agree to meet again to finish on another day? Or could they collectively decide to do like a third set tiebreaker or come up with another, like, what do they usually do in that case?
That's a great question. Generally, there's a few different ways they handle it. A few of them might belong to another club, in which case then they carpool to that other club and try to finish. So that's one of the options. They generally don't play a tiebreak in lieu of a third set. They're generally, I mean, it's competitive, so that's changing, kind of the whole league a bit. There are times when they will reschedule that whatever portion is remaining to try to play with that team. If it's only a handful of games, a lot of times what they'll do is they'll wait till they play that team again and then try to multiply it. Like it'll be worth more or something along those lines. Depends on where they are in the match.
Is the Winter Club part of the league?
The Winter Club is part of this.
What are their hours?
I would have to double check.
They don't have a time. But
I don't think they have a
they have 4 courts.
But no, they don't have a lights out cover. It's my understanding we're the only team in the league that has a lights off.
Because I understood in the Winter Club, they cut the lights at 9 o'clock. So that's what I asked the Winter Club, and that's what I was told.
I think clearly the board is not in a position to make a decision tonight, so we're going to get this back to committee, and we will continue these discussions at that committee level and see what can be sorted out here. There's these unintended consequences that occurred with that fourth court. I'm not a paddle player, but I don't think we ever saw this situation occurring like this. So, and you got league coming in dictating certain things. It's a balancing act that we'll let the committee work on this, and then we'll bring it back to the board once it's gone through a little more of a shakeout. What is the best solution here? So, is that okay with everybody? Yeah. So, remain engaged. We'll get this figured out. Let's see. Well, I guess at that point, there will not be a motion made here. We will defer this to the committee. Is that the proper way to do it, or do we have to make a motion here? No. So,
No motion.
no motion. Back to the committee, and we'll revisit. Okay, moving on. Next item is the Knollwood and Sanctuary Park projects.
Yes. I'll give a summary of the projects. There's 3 smaller parks that are all combined into this one big project. The first is the playground expansion and also addition of 2 pieces of equipment in the Knollwood Park South Playground. The total there for that section of the project is $9,000. There's also a shelter refurbishment portion of this that includes a metal roof for the Sanctuary Park shelter. We're also going to do some brick paver improvements, but that portion will be in-house. So the roof itself will cost $7,400, and then the big portion is the walking path replacement at Knollwood Park. And there's also some ADA remedies that go along with that. So the total there will be approximately $55,000. The project grand total is $71,000 and change. Now, going back to the referendum dollars that were given to this project, we have $55,000 in funds from the referendum. We're currently at $71,000, so that puts us approximately $16,000 over budget. So, the board needs to.
Yeah, well, let me clarify. The board had the 55,000, but I think, it was 2014 for Commissioner Patera and Commissioner Mossberger were on the board. There was, back right before I came, kind of a land swap with the school district, and the parking lot wasn't part of it, but they owed us $60,000, so we're kind of waiting for that, so we received it in 2014. That deal went back all the way to 2007 or something, so we finally received the money. And the board at that time said we prefer to keep that $60,000 in for the Norwood Park system, whether it was for a playground or whatever improvements that there are. So the board agreed to that back in 2014. So basically you have the $55,000 plus $60,000.
So it's not really on the budget.
No.
Because I remember that, like, we earmarked it for
Yes.
Norwood. Those dollars were received from the school district. You're right, predated you, predated the current superintendent. There was some ancient history that was basically resolved.
So we still have some room within.
So all the projects add up to the 71,000.
Yes.
We haven't spent any of the 115,000 to date.
Nothing.
It's all being reserved right now.
That is correct.
Is this everything that we want to do over at Norwood?
For the next, at Norwood Park, yes.
So does that free up $40,000 that we can use for something else?
For sanctuary or for West Park.
Or the beach?
Well, the 40,000 is still earmarked for the Norwood Park system as a whole.
But we just said that we've done everything we want to do with the Norwood.
Not
just the park, the whole system.
Yeah, sorry, there's Norwood.
And that's.
I'm sorry, there's Norwood Park, and then I'm calling it the Norwood Park system. So what we're saying is there's 115 for the Norwood Park system, that whole area, there's 3 parks over there.
So whether that's removing dead trees or whatever.
Playground equipment replacement, paths.
Okay,
things
so
like
we'll
that.
reserve the 40,000 to be used for unidentified improvements.
That is correct.
At the other locations that are in
That
the
is
system.
correct.
Okay.
That is correct.
All right.
You good?
Yeah, so I'm good with this.
Me too.
Motion to approve.
Okay, well, a motion to approve the playground extension and equipment and shelter refurbishment not to exceed, oops, wait a minute. That number doesn't seem like it.
Well, what we're saying is the reason why 18.5, because then you would be looked to approving the project bid. So.
71,000. Oh, that's right, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, yeah, we got 2 pieces here. Okay, I apologize. So we have a motion to approve the playground equipment extension and equipment shelter refurbishment not to exceed $18,500.
So moved.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Gordon?
Yes.
Commissioner McHenry?
Yes.
Commissioner Mossberger?
Yes.
Commissioner Patera?
Yes.
Commissioner Wallace? President Douglas?
Yes. So as Rob was describing everything here, this is the second piece
Yes.
to the 71,300 number. So I just walk through this motion real quick. Well, a motion, well, I probably should read it out here. It's a different number here. A motion to accept the low qualified bid from Evans and Sons Asphalt in the amount of $49,304.60 as specified in the Norwood Park Pathway Improvement Project bid.
So, second. Sorry.
Who moved?
I moved.
You moved.
I second.
Chris second.
Sorry.
And we will Roll call, please.
Commissioner Gordon?
Yes.
Commissioner McHenry?
Yes.
Commissioner Mossberger?
Yes.
Commissioner Patera?
Yes.
Commissioner Wallace?
Yes.
President Douglas?
Yes.
I do want to commend Gary and Rob Foster. Gary's really good at unit pricing bidding, and we anticipate this bid coming in around $60,000. It came in around $49,000, so.
Rob, were we able to add the basketball? Did we approve that area too?
Yes, that is gonna be replaced along with the walking paths.
Yeah, this is gonna be actually, if you've ever seen this park, we've always wondered if there's kids that use it because it seems like we never really see a lot of children using it, but this will be a big test because we're putting in two really cool pieces of equipment. One's this little like rocking bumblebee, and then the other red thing, what do we call that? What do you call that piece?
It's a merry-go-round.
Like a really, like a fun spinner, merry-go-round, and then we're improving the basketball court and putting a nice path there for kids to bike, for dog walkers. So it'll be a great test to kind of see if we can pick up the use of that park, because there's definitely a lot of kids that live in that area. But we haven't really seen them using the park. We're thinking maybe they weren't using it because the equipment was old and outdated, but now that we're going to get rid of the cracks, have awesome pavement, nice shelter at the sanctuary, I think that park gets used a lot. It'll be fun to see if, when we go by, if there's more kids and adults using the path and the playground equipment.
Yeah, we've certainly seen that in Artesian Park and here in Blair with the equipment.
Oh, for
So,
sure, for sure.
But yeah, good. Okay, moving on, written communications. You can see that in your packet here. And correspondences, all pretty self-explanatory. Any comments or questions here? Well, then, we can move on to the next item, which is executive session. Would someone like to take us into it?
I move that we go into discussion of the meetings lawfully closed under the Open Meetings Act, whether for purposes of approval by the district of the minutes or semi-annual review of the minutes as mandated by section 2.06.5 ILCS 120/2C21.
Does item B need to be read through?
Oh, sorry. Additionally, for the setting of a price for sale or lease of property owned by the public body pursuant to Section 2C6 of the Open Meetings Act.
Okay.
Second.
And a roll call, please?
Commissioner Gordon?
Yes.
Commissioner McHenry?
Yes.
Commissioner Mossberger?
Yes.
Commissioner Patera?
Yes.
Commissioner Wallace?
Yes.
President Douglas?
Yes. Okay.
Let's try to get done with that was a motion.
And turn it, is it turned off?
Hey, thank you, nice
Thank
work.
you.
Oh, go ahead.
Great job.
Thanks, Rob.
We are now coming out of executive session, and at this juncture, if I can have a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Hearing no nays, we're done.